All right, 6:34, I'm gonna start. I'm sure people will walk in late, but it is what it is. So, hi, Erica Raines, principal. Costa Rica is our spring break 2026 trip, yes. So for those of you who don't know, we do spring break, international spring break trips every year. Last year we did Spain and Portugal, and the year before that we did Japan, maybe. We've done lots of different places. Costa Rica we've done a number of times. We do that one repeatedly because of everything that's involved, and the kids really enjoy that one. I was trying to find a way to make this one more for, it's open to anybody 6 or 12 year, but I was trying to find a way to make it more along the seniors, for a senior trip for them. Wanted to do more fundraising this year than we normally do with it. Normally it's 100% on the kids, and then we fundraise for that. Tips, the gratuity, the extras, the excursions. This one is completely inclusive. So we were going to try to do more fundraising for it to make it less for the kids. The company that we have used for the last 12 years is EF Tours, Education First Tours. This year we are switching to Explorica. No idea. Yep, totally didn't get that. I'm sure.
Let me help you out.
Thank you.
So just press okay.
Thank you. Okay, there we go. All right. So the company that we're using this year is Explorica. We've used EF for years and I like them, but we've had some issues the last couple of years. And so these people call all the time and ask for a chance. They have a lot of the same benefits as far as who's this tour guide that's with us, their safety record, which is like the most important thing for me, safety. And they've been in business for over 55 years, which is about the same as the previous company. They have boots on the ground in every continent, every country that we go to. So if there is an emergency, if there's something that goes wrong with this, they're there in the office. They have people that are there to respond. So that's all the safety stuff. So where we're going, we are going spring break. The trip is 10-ish days. Those dates are give or take. It could be the 12th, it could be the 14th, it could be the 21st, it could be the 23rd. But it's a day or two before spring break and a day or two after spring break, that entire time frame there. We are, when I said that we've done this trip before, a lot of the things that we do when we go to Europe, it's very art and language and culture driven. It's very history driven. When we go to Costa Rica, it is science and adventure driven. We go kayaking on Lake Arenal at the base of a volcano. We go cliff diving into and whitewater rafting on the Sarapiqui River. We go, which is really cool. It might be your way. I'm sorry. No, is that better? Okay. We go to the Arenal region. We go to the kids get to go to the Manuel State Park, which is in the Pacific Ocean. So our kids have all been obviously to the Atlantic Ocean because that's the one we have over here, but they get to go to that one. We go to the waterfalls there. We ride this thing through a pineapple plantation, and the kids get to get off and like get a machete and they get their own pineapple and then get to bring it back on. Usually we only let like 2 or 3 at a group to do that, the ones that I trust with a machete in their hands. Some Tylers are like, so we go horseback riding through the rainforest. We go zip lining over the rainforest, and then we go to the hot springs that are under a volcano, heated by the volcano, which is really cool. And that's usually on the same evening where we've done the horseback riding through the rainforest. So we're all very sore from horseback riding. So that hot springs is really nice. We do that for a couple of hours. We do the hanging bridge excursion, which scares the pea willies out of me, and the kids like to make fun of me for that one. Coffee plantation visit, we learn, this is really cool. So coffee, you drink coffee? Yes, everybody drinks coffee, right? Do you go for the dark blend, the medium roast, the light roast? What do you go for? Medium? Yeah, no coffee back there? No?
I like my coffee black.
Okay, so the dark roast, right? So why do you do medium?
Because it says the medium amount of caffeine.
Because that's what you think.
Mm.
Yeah, so a lot of people say, oh, I do espresso or I do the dark, right? I do the dark roast because it's stronger. It's actually not. Do you know the light roast has more caffeine than the medium or dark roast? Light roast has the most caffeine. That's something that we learned on this trip. So we learn about that. We get to go through the whole coffee plantation. We go through a chocolate plantation. We actually get to mix our own chocolate from cocoa beans, which is really cool. Did I mention the zip line? We go zip lining over the rainforest. We plant a tree in the rainforest. We go down another river and we do a scavenger hunt, an animal and bird scavenger hunt, so that we have like this piece of paper where we have to mark off, we have to find all these animals from the safety of our boat on the river. We don't actually, so, we go to Sarchi, the great big ox wheels that are all painted and colored. We go to Sarchi where they do that, where that actually originated from. We get to visit a couple of native tribes. There's not a lot of them left there in Costa Rica. We visit a couple of native tribes and we learn from them. We do crafts with them, which is really cool. We do a folklore evening, so the ox carts from Sarchi. We do the Carrera Reserve. Okay, so this is the coffee plantation that we go to. We learn all about it there, and then we get to test and try, and then of course take stuff home. We go to a butterfly garden. I'm looking for we go to La Fortuna waterfalls. Here we go. So this is one of the tribes that we go to, and they actually, in their village, they actually still dress like that. And they do arts and crafts to sell to tourists, and that's how they finance their communities, which is really cool. So we get to be part of that. Chocolate. So that is what chocolate actually looks like before it becomes a chocolate bar that we're used to. And we actually get to go through this entire process, which is kind of cool. I mentioned the kayak. Oh, a jungle walk at nighttime. She's shaking her head. No. Okay, totally safe.
Okay.
This is sugarcane. So we actually learn how sugar is made from the cane in Costa Rica, which is kind of cool. And it comes out of here. So like the canes are in there and they walk the oxen around and it swishes and it drips into this, and the kids actually get to try it, which is kind of cool. The bugs and reptiles and stuff like that on our night walk. Mind you, when they're doing that, I'm with them, but I'm not touching anything. I'm threatening the children. If they throw any of those at me, I'm going to leave them in Costa Rica. We plant a tree in the rainforest, which is cool because they get to tag it. And if they remember where it is when we go back, which nobody ever does, but they tag their tree. One of our walks through the preserve, the kids learn what bugs and things and plants are edible if you ever get lost in a rainforest, what's safe and what's not safe, which is none of us remember after we leave there, but they all try it while we're walking. Our day on the beach. This is the folklore evening, so it's at the top of the mountain. And the native people dance for us and we eat food with them and they perform. It's really cool. And then that view is just absolutely amazing. And everything's covered. So this is a really expensive trip. It's actually, Costa Rica is probably the cheapest trip we do. It's our Japan trip and our China trip were like $7 grand, $5 grand for our Europe trips. This one is less than 4. It covers everything, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It covers the airfare there and back. It covers our hotel, every single hotel we go to, covers our bus while we're there. It covers the entrance into anything that we go into, any activity that we do. It covers our full-time, we have a full-time tour guide, so the tour guide meets us at the airport when we land and is with us, stays in the hotel with us, is with us 24/7, and then takes us back to the airport when it's time to go. Then there's a secondary tour guide that is the local guides. So if we go, like when we go to Sarchi, there will be a specific tour guide just for that area that hops on the bus and tells us about that area and then hops off. So it covers all of that. It covers the high school. If you choose to do the work that's associated with the trip, you get an elective credit. So it's one less class that you have to take. So it's an elective credit if you choose to do the work with it. It covers that. It does not cover your passport. Obviously, you have to get that on your own beforehand. I arrange the transportation from school to the airport. And it's usually Fort Lauderdale we've flown out of Miami once, I think. It's 2.5-hour flight. It's not long. But we take care of the transportation there. That's part of fundraising. The tips we take care, everything is included in this trip, so. We have the same bus driver with us the entire time we're there, so it's a dedicated bus just for us, same driver. It doesn't cover spending money. So your souvenirs and stuff doesn't cover that. The travel protection is optional. That is still there. Underneath that is the word optional. And then that one's optional also. We have, like, if the year that we had COVID hit, that one was not something that anybody had ever thought would ever happen. And we had kids who had already paid a couple of $1,000 for that trip we pushed that year. And what they do is just roll it over to the next year's trip or the next time that we're able to travel. Or do a refund if your student is a senior at the time. So there's times where even without the insurance, that there's refund. And then there's times that you have to have the insurance for the refund, so. Passports, I already mentioned that's on the students, the credit, okay, this was important. So the high school credit is included with it. It's a half of an elective credit. You do the work, you submit it to them, to their educational institution, they grade it, and then they send the transcripts to us and we enter it as it's a transfer credit. As though you went to somewhere else for that credit. And then if you want to, you can also choose the elective credit for a 1 or 3-hour course through George Mason University. That there is a cost on that. I don't know what that is. None of our kids have ever done that one. So you could do $50 shoulder seat, and then it breaks it up into monthly payments and you schedule that. Or you do $99 shoulder seat, and then you can break it up into 4 payments manually. So you can either have it auto drafted and that's $50 and it does the math for you, or you can choose to break it up and it's $99 to hold your seat. Or of course, if you wanted to, you can pay for the whole thing in advance. I don't recommend that because we want to do fundraising. So the way the fundraising piece works, we always do the lock-in in the fall or the spring, and that money always goes to spring break trips. What this one will look like is at the end of, I think the lock-in is in November, maybe October. When we do the lock-in, after all the funds are collected, the school will generate a check and send it to them, and it will be split amongst all the different accounts. So you may look one day and the account have a balance of $2,000. And then when we send it, the balance may be down to $1,500 or whatever, depending on what it is. And then in the spring, we have the next one, same thing. We'll write the check, send it, it'll be split amongst all the participants, and it'll come. So the more fundraising we do, the more I can send the checks in, the more that dollar amount goes down. So if you have it set up on auto draft, once we start sending in a check, that will bring that down, that dollar amount down. So Oh, and that was the other thing. So they do for us a personal fundraising page. So once you sign up, they send you a link and it's your own personal fundraising page and you can send that out to anybody you want. So a couple of years back, we had a girl who took hers and she sent it to her entire church and everybody in her church donated $5 and it paid for her entire trip to Europe. We have, when my son was in school, I used to send his link to his grandparents, his dad, his aunts, uncles and all that, and they would do it as Christmas and birthday gift for the year. They would, pitch in towards it. A lot of people will do it for especially for the seniors, it's their graduation gift to a lot of the parents and then different family members, because you can send that link out and anybody can click on it and donate whatever they want to go ahead. So I think that's a neat perk that they do for us, so. And then they have a financial assistance for need-based. I don't know anything about that. I know that EF Tour did not do that and it's Florida does do that, so there's scholarships available. I don't know how that works. But what I do know is it's completely confidential and I'll never know how it works. So. And then let's see. Opportuna waterfalls.
It's really green here. I never think I'd see something like this. Nothing like this.
Daniela is awesome. She's very great guy. She's really cool. She knows a lot of information.
Nature is amazing. Try to listen and try to enjoy this forest because the cloud forest and it's not a common forest.
I learned a lot from Daniela. She knew a lot of different plant species and animal species and what they did.
It's not me to say.
Little snail.
It's cool to think how 90% of, because I was talking with Daniela, and she told me that 90% of Costa Rica in the 50s and 60s was deforested. And it was kind of cool to see like, well, this is how they are trying to help.
First, welcome to the program of reforestation that we have. I work for San Pedro Reserve. Just 30 years ago, the whole property around here was a dairy farm. And then the idea right now is to make another biological corridor. Helping the environment. Yeah.
My favorite part was definitely going to the school and seeing what their life was like and getting to like talk to them and.
It pays for
and
12 and one single grade.
and bought them gifts.
They don't have.
Like, I brought stuff from my home and gave it to the kids, and to think they're gonna use that like every day kind of makes me happy. So humbling to visit the school. By far, love the hot springs. That's the best part.
Sometimes can smell fear, so try not to be afraid. We're gonna meet up.
I cried for well 11.
Planning was really fun. I was really nervous at first though, but they eased you into it and
No.
it was awesome being that far above everything. It kind of was like flying. I think it's more being in Costa Rica is more hands-on and you see everything, experiences that you read about. It's cool to actually see it in person.
After they perform for us, they can
It's a once in a lifetime trip. You see a lot, you do a lot, just to experience the culture, the food, how people live. You get to see it all.
I'd forgotten about the school, so we go visit the school. And the one that we go to, that we've been to, they have fruit trees and they pick the fruit and they make jams and jellies and preserves, and then they sell it in town, and that's the money they use to buy paper and pencil and textbooks, and they don't have computers there. So they do a trade with the community for the things that they need, and they're happy and they're smiling, and they don't have anything like we have here. And you look at them and you're like, they have no idea what they don't have, and it's the most amazing thing. And our students, when we leave there to listen to our kids talk about what they see in those other students, seeing how happy they are, and our kids not understanding how they could possibly be happy like that. It's the coolest thing to see that, them understand that, and then see what, other kids have and don't have, and that exposure piece is really cool. So. Have I missed anything? I've probably missed a lot. We do a lot. The very first trip we ever took was to Costa Rica. It was right after a volcano had, like, in the last 2 weeks before we got there, had erupted, and it was still like smoking or whatever. So we got to one of our hotels, because we do multiple hotels because we cover different regions while we're there. We got to a hotel that was at the base of this volcano, and our tour guide, her name was Wendy, and I said, Wendy, we know what to do in the case of a hurricane. We've never, been through a volcano. What do we do in the case of an eruption? She said, well, we sleep with our shoes on the right side of the bed. I said, well, what does that do? She said, it ensures you have your shoes on when you run. Like, wait a minute, is that really the plan? She said, absolutely. So, but it's cool, So that website, I wrote it on the border, it's up here, and it may be on your screens, because I think Mr. Gutierrez had it up if you were interested in signing up. Or that thingy with the camera, however that works. I'm obviously with the kids the entire time. Parents are allowed to chaperone, but in order to be allowed to chaperone, you must have your level 2 background check and drug test. So you have to be fingerprinted and drug tested, and do our volunteer application and be approved. And then obviously our students can go. You have to be 13 years old or older to be able to travel without a parent. So in 2016, that was our first time that we did it as a senior trip. In 2016, we had 82 seniors, and I want to say 60 some seniors went on that trip. We had 2 full buses. So, and we did London, Paris, and Rome is what we did for that trip. And that was the majority of the parents. It was a really close group. But the majority of the parents had gotten together and helped us do a lot of fundraising. And then the kids, I want to say that trip, the kids, I think it ended up costing them out of pocket maybe $2 grand total. Because of all the fundraising that we did that year. But that was, I guess we spent 4 years fundraising because we knew we were gonna do that. That had been planned since their freshman year. So.